All right, everyone. Just talking this show. I did a separate take for Ray Lewis. I believe he deserves it. In my mind, he is arguably the greatest linebacker, one of the greatest defensive players ever. Says a lot, man, because we had some great teams. You know, the '70s had some monster defenses with Minnesota, the Purple People Eaters, Steel Curtain. '80s, you had the Chicago Bears amongst many teams that had some great defenses. The '90s, you know, you had the 49ers, you know, amongst other teams that had some really good defensive teams. Um, but Ray Lewis, man, he came into the league and I mean he could do it all, and he could do it all great. I mean, this man was amazing when he came in, and he was a leader. He inspired men to be better than what they were. Um, he led probably, you know, it depends. If you're not a Chicago Bears fan, then he led probably the greatest defense ever in 2000 to win the Super Bowl, in which he was the MVP of that year, along with Defensive Player of the Year that year. Two-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, 2000's All Team Decade. Uh, he made up. He was 17 years with one team. 17 years in the NFL with one team, and he called it quits. Not because the team didn't want him to come back, because he decided it was his final ride. And by him saying it was his final ride, he inspired those dudes to play above their game to try to take him out a winner. And unfortunately for me, as a Niner fan, it lifted them up in that playoff run. And they came in as a wild card and went through everybody to the Super Bowl, which my Niners were expected to dominate, and they pretty much dominated us. As sad as that is to say, as painful as it is to say, as much as I hate to talk about it, because I hate talking about that Super Bowl, but it is what it is, man. The man was amazing. Um, it sucked losing to him, but at the same time, you know, you gotta respect greatness. You know, you can be mad if you want, but you gotta respect greatness, and that's what Ray Lewis was. He was great. You know, let me read off some career stats for you, man. 13 Pro Bowls, 8 All Pros, 8 All Pros. As I mentioned, two-time Defensive Player of the Year in 2000 and 2005. I believe he was Rookie of the Year. Two-time Super Bowl champ, 2000 and 2012, and you know, obviously the Super Bowl MVP for Super Bowl 35. I mean, if you don't remember young Ray Lewis, old Ray Lewis, he must be pretty young. But if you don't remember how great he was for all those years, I mean, you got to watch him play. And the fact that he played with the Baltimore Ravens 17 entire years, that says a lot. You know, because sometimes players try to move around for this and that, but he kept the loyalty with that one team. And that speaks a lot for players. There's more respect that goes to a player of greatness when they stick with one team. You know, part of that loyalty, they stick. And he had some up and down years with that team. They bounced back. They always stayed relevant. Not always a playoff team, but he stuck with them. They always built good pieces. I mean, they had a good GM that knew what they were doing to at least keep, you know, players around that were good, draft well, and keep them going. You know, but also sometimes teams want to move on from a player. They're not worth it. They aren't as good as they used to be, and they're trying to get rid of him before they go. But the Ravens wanted him around. He stuck around, and that says a lot, man. And again, Ray Lewis is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, linebacker to ever play. One of the greatest defensive players to ever play. So much respect to Ray Lewis. I know there's some controversy off the field. You know, who knows? You know, he pled out. He got, you know, some people say he got away with murder literally. I can't tell. I wasn't there. I was a jitterbug when it happened. You know, I was just coming out of high school. You know, so I remember it well enough. I was old enough to remember it. But again, who knows? No one really knows. He paid his debts to the family. What more can you ask from the man? Um, you know, and after the Super Bowl, you know, the whole, I don't try to talk about politics, but you know, the whole little thing about, you know, how he led one way with the things that were going on with the NFL and the protesting, and then when it all comes down to it, not only does he get down on one knee, he gets down on two knees. He took a lot of slack for that. That's off the field stuff, man. On the field, man was one of the best to ever play, one of the most enjoyable to ever watch. And when you heard him, you felt inspired. When they did interviews, you felt like, wow, you wanted to get up off your couch and play, even if you couldn't play. You wanted to get on that field, and that's just so amazing about that guy. Not only was he great, but he inspired. He made people play their hearts out because they knew when he went on that field, he gave you everything. Much love, Ray Lewis. Congratulations on your Hall of Fame inductee, and congratulations to all the players. Just real quick again, just to lay them off: Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Brian Dawkins, Ryan Urlacher, Robert Brazil, Jerry Kramer, and Bobby Beathard. Congratulations, all you guys. Well deserved. Hall of Fame 2018. Just Talking This Show. Your host, Lena Robb, signing out.